Hey guys, it's BlockchainBrad, and today I'm very excited to speak with Morpheus Labs. If you haven't heard about it, you're certainly going to hear about it from 4 executives today. And to do that, we're going to be discussing it with, firstly, the unofficial CEO or co-founder, and that is Pei-Han. Pei, thank you very much for your time today.
Yeah, hi everyone.
It's great that you are here. And also to complement that, we have the COO, and that is Branson Lee up on the top left. Branson, thank you so much for being on the channel today. Sorry, mate, we can't actually hear you, so I think your audio is actually turned off. So hopefully we'll get back to you and I'll skip through. Also on the top right, we have Dorel Burcea. He is the CIO, and he plays a very important role also as the executive team member. Thank you, Dorel.
Hello. Thank you, everybody.
And we have Bruce Liu, the CTO. Bruce, thank you very much also, mate, for being on the channel.
Yeah, hello everyone.
And finally, we'll just jump back up to Branson. Branson, can we hear you now?
Yep,
excellent.
Loud and clear.
So you are, Branson, the COO and co-founder of Morpheus Labs, and it's great that you are on the channel. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's kick off, firstly, your backgrounds, guys, and then we'll get stuck into Morpheus Labs and unpack it. And to do that, who better to start than the co-founder and unofficial CEO, Pei. So Pei, tell us a bit about yourself, mate, and how you come to have this important role.
Okay, so I was actually IT grad from University of Melbourne, and after that I actually joined a bank in investment and wealth management related sector for about 7 to 8 years.
Okay.
And in 2011, I actually left the bank to start my first tech startup, which I raised about 2.2 million in Singapore dollar. So from there onwards until today, I have been in tech startup for 7 to 8 years. So I started a few startups and few success. And so about 3 years plus ago, I actually encountered this Bitcoin blockchain. So I went in and studied a lot and started to explore this area about 3 years ago.
I see.
So the whole idea was actually suggested by SG Innovate Singapore government. And from there I met my partner Branson. And that's how we started with our Morpheus.
I see. Well, speaking of partners, let's move across now to Branson, up in the top left. Branson, as the co-founder, can you tell us a bit about how you sort of connected with Pei and what was your background?
Yeah, so I actually graduated with a computer engineering degree in Singapore. So I've always been in tech. So I worked for companies like Sun Microsystems, LinkedIn, Gartner, and so on and so forth. So tech is always in my blood, and I actually was helping out with another startup. Actually, it's called a fintech startup. So what happened was that I actually went into the blockchain industry. That's when I met Pei-Han. We hit it off immediately, but we didn't do anything, right? Because what you need to do is just suss out each other's character, understand how we can potentially work together. But from there, we actually came up with this idea, and I think it has been a fantastic journey so far.
Right, and just in terms of your background, though, your credentials before leading up to this, what can you tell us about your qualifications?
Yeah, so like I said, I graduated with a computer engineering degree. I did a little bit of programming back in Sun Microsystems as a Unix programmer. And after that, I actually went into the world of business development, enterprise partnerships. I have been consulting for Gartner as well. So I actually interface with some of the C-suite, C executives, helping them understand how to bring about digital transformation into their organizations.
I see. Thank you so much for that introduction. If we could move across now to the CIO, to Dorel. Dorel, you look like you have a lot of experience in the space generally, not just blockchain, but in, I guess, the enterprise sector. So tell us a bit about yourself.
Yes, I'm coming from a long experience in a large enterprise, it's true. I started as a software engineer a long time ago, and 70 years I'm working in a large, I'm a global CIO of large bank. Our company is it's a pan-European bank, so we are practically managing a very, very large enterprise. So I'm practically, my view is to give the strategy to make our product and platform very scalable and enterprise grade.
I see.
So my role is here is design the strategy, the technical strategy, and to make it reliable, scalable, and very secure.
I see. And you're also gateway into the big money with the banking experience. So thank you for that. Bruce, if we could move across now to you down the bottom. You are the CTO, Bruce Liu.
Yep.
Could you tell us a bit about you, mate, and your background?
Yeah, I was graduated from China University, called Tianjin University in applied mathematics. I had been working in China for 7 years, and 20 years ago I migrated to Singapore and joined a local bank. After that, I have been working in software development. 11 years ago, I joined IBM as an architect, and I have been working in many enterprise application implementations for our customers. So in the last 3 years, I started working on the blockchain research myself. And in last year, I led a team implemented the Hyperledger 1.0 project in a production environment. That's considered the first few in the world. Yeah. So
I see. So you're very much connected with blockchain technology. When you speak of Hyperledger, we know the prominence they have in the enterprise and permission space. So we'll definitely be discussing that further. Let's now get stuck into the crux of why we're here, and that is to explore the what's and even more detail than that of Morpheus Labs. Firstly, gentlemen, it says on your website, this is what you are: a powerful, inclusive, full-stack blockchain platform, or better known as PaaS for blockchain as a service for enterprise. Now that is an absolute mouthful. And a year ago, perhaps, we wouldn't be talking about this, but right now the buzzword is enterprise with blockchain. So let's find out exactly what you are. Who better to start with then again with you, Pei? Pei, can you tell us what are some of the problems that really led you to build out this enterprise-focused blockchain architecture?
Okay, just to put it into a few point form. First of all, everybody wants, actually from enterprise to SME, everybody wants to explore blockchain. But because of the use cases, it's actually limited, and there are actually not a lot of use cases. So everybody is actually discovering how they can actually invest in the blockchain to have a better ROI. And to put it in short form, everybody is stuck because blockchain is so new.
Right.
So that is our starting point of our pain point that we want to solve.
Right. If I could just move across to Bruce, because your audio is just quite challenging at the moment, Pei. So I'm going to ask Bruce to just explain a few more things. Bruce, can you tell us a little bit more about the specifics of what Morpheus Labs stands for in terms of the enterprise, as Pei was trying to do?
Okay. Our focus is enterprise blockchains, because we have seen a lot of enterprises trying to explore to POC the enterprise applications, and also trying to do the pilot project for the blockchain applications. But there are many pain points for them. Either they don't have environments, they don't have a ready-to-use environments, or they need to have a consortium or consulting firm to engage them, which is very expensive. And they also don't have their development team resources. So for us, we look at these kind of pain points. Then we, based on Pei-Han, Branson's idea, so we are going to provide one platform that to address these kind of pain points.
Right.
We will provide the ready-to-use platforms, and we also have a ready-to-use applications for them to have a quick start. Okay,
we're going to be talking about that at length. But Dorel, if we could go across to you now, mate, with your experience in banking, particularly in enterprise, what can you see as some of the problems that effectively Morpheus Labs is addressing, given your experience specifically?
Yeah, very good question. I can say from my own experience in banking, we are spending a lot of money into trying going to blockchain. We have done several projects internally, some of them in the payments area, some of them in trade finance. And we know how rapidly the budget is consumed. So from this, we think that Morpheus Labs offer multiple opportunities. You can try to create your own business application in one type of blockchain. And if does not fit with your business needs, you can easily move and try to different type of blockchain. So without creating a new project, without hiring new type of skills for a different type of blockchain. So we are blockchain agnostic practically. So my enterprise experience here is to offer the way to put all those blockchain together, and on top of those blockchain to create the layer necessary to very easy scale and offer particularly to developers a easy way to develop blockchain application in a cost-income ratio very, very good.
I see.
Means less time, less budget to achieve either it's a good blockchain for you or it's the blockchain that you really need to solve your business problem.
I see, and thank you for that. And obviously, you're referencing your experience in this centralized banking model, and clearly you know some of those problems that exist there, and no doubt the blockchain, and more importantly, the agnostic protocol that you represent can address some of them. So, Branson, if we could go across to you now, mate, one of the things I wanted to talk about was some of the specifics of the integration model, because clearly, as Dorel has mentioned, you're integration focused, you're agnostic by nature. So, how are you trying to integrate, and why is that important?
I think coming back to the question of the different blockchains, right? I think at the end of the day, a lot of enterprises, they are looking at blockchain technology as the next industrial revolution, something that can transform or bring them to the next level of digital transformation. The question then becomes, how do you then pick the right technology or the right blockchain, so to speak? At the same time, there are multiple things that you have to do as well, unpacking the different, packages, downloading, syncing all the nodes and things like that. So it's a very troublesome and it requires a lot of effort. And for somebody who has not much experience in this space, trying to do all these things together, piecing all the different blocks together, I think it's a very, very time-consuming thing. So what we aim to do is actually to remove all this, heavy lifting stuff from the user or the developer himself or herself, and then from there, they can actually focus on what they do best, which is the business side of things. Yeah.
I see. Well, thank you for that, Bruce. If we could just now go to the aspects of DLT. Obviously, the distributed ledger technology is important, not just blockchain itself. What role does the DLT play with Morpheus Labs, and more importantly, how is that relating to being an efficient and scalable blockchain architecture?
Okay, so in Morpheus Labs BPaaS blockchain platform as a service, so we have a layers architecture. So at the bottom layer we have VM and container based. So this one can allow us to run all different blockchains on all the cloud environments.
Right.
And also because of we are using the VM and the containers, so we are able to run a different DLT technologies, different blockchains in our platform. Yeah. So this allow us to be able to scale our platform to be able to support very different type of DLT blockchains.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bruce. Hey, if we could just now move across to the question of the go-to market strategy that's alluded to in your website. It explains that you are essentially moving into blockchain readiness or business readiness, more importantly. How far are you in that process of having that go-to market strategy being implemented?
Okay, so basically, I think we have not actually done a lot of active marketing. So, but in fact, a lot of the related entities actually came to us, example, system integrator and incubator center in different major enterprises.
Right.
So, as we know that these are the companies that, or maybe entities. Give me a while, sorry.
That's okay. No problem.
Okay. As we know that these entities, they are actually holding a lot of the startup and maybe existing customer who are actually really keen to try all the blockchain technologies. So this is actually one of our go-to market strategy via channel partnerships. So we are not going to actually approach B2B one-to-one.
Okay.
But we are actually more like getting the key percent in place, so we can actually faster build out the whole ecosystem.
I see.
Yeah, so this is our overall of our go-to-market strategy.
Right. Well, thank you for that, Pei. Now let's get stuck into the what. You know, I really want to make this crystal clear for all the audience because obviously Morpheus Labs is quite complex given its very robust nature. So if we talked about the what of Morpheus Labs, firstly from you, Pei, in the context of being expedient, being flexible, and also offering optimal and multiple programming language interface and usability. Tell us what exactly is Morpheus Labs?
Okay, so there's actually a key mission or maybe key for us, key vision and key for us to achieve in Morpheus Labs. One is actually, I think for startup, whether it's actually blockchain startup or maybe just a common tech startup, we all know that the failure rate for all the startups is about 99%. So all the good ideas actually all got killed off for different reasons, but all drilled down to the bottom. The main reason is actually limited resources, limited time.
Okay, so I just want to clarify that. Sorry to interrupt, but so limited resources, limited time, and I would argue there's a few others in there with the nature of crypto lately. But certainly, yes, you're seeing that there are problems and the majority of projects fail. So
yeah,
keep going.
So for us, what we believe in is innovation is equal to creativity plus implementation. So you have a lot of creativity, that's good. But if you cannot implement it in real life, commercialize it, it doesn't equal to innovation. You can't bring forward the society. You can't improve anything.
Okay.
So what people is lacking is nowadays is not creativity. It's the implementation itself. So like I mentioned, limited to resource example, if you are a startup, you have maybe, let's say, certain amount to explore your idea.
Right.
And you have maybe half a year to explore it. Most of the time, your initial idea compared to your commercialized version, it could be totally different.
Okay.
So this process is actually time-consuming and burning your money.
So just to clarify there, so the first point you want to make about the what of Morpheus Labs is your implementation facility. You provide as a platform essentially a means to allow other projects to be implemented on a platform so that you're a conduit, almost a hub for business.
Yes, so we actually effectively save their time and save their money. So it gives them, with the same amount of the time or maybe budget, they can actually try or maybe have more time to evolve, pivot from there to reach their commercialized version. So that's the important part of our vision.
Okay, Branson, if I could move across to you now. Thank you for that, Pei. Let's talk about the title as well, Morpheus Labs. Why Labs? We've heard enough of Morpheus from a million different blockchains, but why Labs?
So I think all the core team members alluded to this earlier, which is that it allows enterprises to basically go on this discovery phase. As what Pei-Han mentioned, when you first start off with the idea, I don't think anybody will be able to commercialize it immediately. So what we are aiming to do is to help enterprises come to our platform and treat it like a lab. Right, so they can experiment with different blockchain technologies, write in different languages, and therefore, even source from the different source codes, right? Where we actually curate some of these top-class applications in our app store. So what they can do is basically they can treat it like a one-stop shop. It's like a laboratory for them. They can try whatever they want, and at the end of the day, we provide a fail-safe environment. Right, you can fail, but fail it at a very, very low cost.
Yeah. I see. And we're also seeing, obviously you don't appreciate, I do speak with other CEOs, and just recently I was speaking with another company who are trying to do a one-stop shop process. No doubt you don't want to just be a one-stop shop. Let's imagine we're using the analogy of cars, but you do want to be that Ferrari or that Lamborghini, or no, actually, we'll retract Lamborghini. We don't want to be a Lambo. But we certainly want to be in a high-quality car. You want to be in the space of A-grade one-stop shops. So let's talk about how you're doing that in context of consoles, workspace, dashboards, executives, even your app store, your library that you're talking about. They're key features that really, set you apart as a high-quality facility, as a high-quality interface. So why is it so good? Why should enterprise use you?
Yeah, so I think one of the key features is that at the end of the day, there are a lot of source codes out there, right? But at the end of the day, what do you know which source code or which applications is more suitable for your industry or for what kind of blockchain technology? So what we aim to do is basically source the best in class for the different blockchains. And what enterprises can then do is that, let's say, for example, I'm in supply chain, right? I need to come up with an application that simplifies the documentation process or the shipping process. What else can I do besides just looking at, let's say, Hyperledger or Ethereum? What are some of the other potential blockchains that might give me higher throughput, for example, or processing time? So those are some of the things that we aim to do. Enterprises then do not need to look for different resources all over the place, but at the end of the day, that takes up a lot of time. Yeah,
I see. So if I could go across now to you, Dorel, you do know a lot of people in the enterprise space. No doubt the value point for the enterprise is economy, and not in terms of money solely, but also in time. Essentially, this company, your company, is going to make it really easy for an enterprise service, a business, to go and access the blockchain.
Yeah. To answer to your question, I may say that we pay very, very much attention to each module of our platform. As you mentioned about dashboard, has to be very well integrated with the development console. Development console has to be very integrated with the underlying stacks. So we are thinking in such a way to provide, let's say, receipts. Receipts which practically transform in technology stack. So when we say technology stack, we offer to anybody connecting to our platform end-to-end stack to make them very easy, focus only on the code, focus only on tuning the code and execute in production, so deploying in production.
I see.
So like Branson said before, we have the App Store. We want to show App Store not like merely a list of curated applications. Yes, that is a very good distinctive capability because we will curate application, but we show business in the App Store. So each application will face a business flavor. Supply chain, transportation, smart city, authentication. So all those new idea, finally, business can have the answer.
And
the question is if which blockchain can fit for my business needs.
And Dorel, I think that's a great point. That very last statement is that you provide options for all kinds of consensus models, all kinds of scalability potentials, all kinds of blockchain platforms, which is really quite innovative and quite cutting edge right now in 2018. But Dorel, I also wanted to ask you about industry. You're alluding to some in your statement, but surely you are cross-industry by design and can cater for the multitude of industries that exist in business.
Yes, industry, we created the platform in such a way to be able to scale everywhere, to be able to onboard small enterprise, medium enterprise, and large enterprise.
Right.
So we will also tie our subscription in such a way to make, to allow customers, small customers to use it, medium customers to use it, and large customers to use it.
I see.
So in terms of scalability, we are looking for other regions. So as Bruce mentioned before, our architecture will be modular and based on microservices and containers. So we will be able to trigger and deploy in other countries our platform instance to be able to reach the customer in the location where the customer is located. So that's one important point for us. And ultimately, we want to protect the customer data from the security point of view. So data loss prevention and data privacy are also our, it's part of our commitment.
I see. Thank you for that. And it's exciting to hear that you're moving in the global space as well. If we could now talk, Bruce, about your readiness. It's something that I did really question when I read through your white paper, because you can only get so much from the white paper theoretically. So in terms of these three features, how blockchain ready, or how ready are you for business in terms of trade, from the trade exchange, from crypto exchange, and banking APIs?
Okay, based on our current development milestones, we have completed our MVP. Our development platform is ready. Our test environment also ready. By end of April, we are going to add additional we call DevOps features into our platform, so that the platform is ready for the use, the enterprise use.
I see.
But we'll do a additional industry kind of testing, product testing in the next 3 months. And at the moment, we are planning to release the first commercial version in third quarter of this year.
Okay, so things are happening very fast, Bruce. That's quite a good roadmap. Let's talk about prototypes, though, and demos. How's that going?
Yes, we have prepared MVP demo, but at the moment, because of the infrastructure, so at the moment the demo is still we call the gathered demo. So when we have companies, we have users who are interested into our platform, we will arrange demo for them. Okay. So we can show how we can use our platform to quickly build smart contract.
Okay, great.
And, the blockchain application.
So you have something that's available when you present your case to enterprise and to, more importantly, the business market. Now let's talk about that in terms of the entire framework, the business model that you have. Let's clarify things and let's unpack this from the standpoint of the ideal across to the reality. Ideally, we'd love to see a decentralized model for everybody. We'd love to see people circumventing authority and everything like that. It's not going to happen. You are proof that you need business, and you certainly need permissioned aspects to your blockchain pay. So let's talk about that in the context of subscriptions. Let's talk about your package deals and exactly what you are going to offer.
Okay, so Pei-Han.
Oh, sorry. So regarding our subscription model, we actually, it's from our slides or maybe on our website, it's actually a standard subscription. So it's actually based on the licensing, different type of licensing, which is suitable for startup, to SME, to enterprise. Okay. So on top of that, we have another layer of the application store. So that is part of the revenue model as well, because we foresee we are actually building an ecosystem. So we start to help you from develop your application. After that, what's next? What's next is actually how you can actually reach out to more potential customers. So this is how our application store comes in place to help. Right. So of course, the basic business model for application store is to share the profit sharing from there. And then of course, we also foresee, because we are building application, which actually worth more value compared to other website or other products. Okay. So we foresee that in the near future for these developers, there might be some of the, I would say, distributor in different regions. We might actually approach them to ask, could I actually white label, or maybe could I be your distributor in, let's say, Middle East or maybe Europe region. So from there, if you look at our white paper, we have another category called licensing management. Okay. So from there, it all piece up to a smooth, different levels of business model and revenue. Okay. Yeah.
Certainly you can look into the white paper further if you'd like to know that more, but let's move across to Branson as well, because I wanted to talk to you more about this. I want to unpack it in the context of you offer different packages for individual starters, you even have optimal and enterprise focused packages. And I also want to get real right now about the permission nature of the aspects where we get a lot of flack in the blockchain space for those that are closed sourced and those that have these essentially subscription-based models.
Yep. Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, what we aim to do is to not reinvent the wheel, right? So a lot of the make use of the app store that we have. So we are curating all the top applications out there. Some of them will be open source. Some of them will be on a permissioned basis, obviously on a fee sharing basis. So depending on what use cases or how the different enterprises or developers or how they want to use it, they will have to go according to the specific licenses. But I do agree that some of this open source code out there certainly more robust. Perhaps there are tons of people contributing to the code. So different models, I would say. Yeah,
I see. And in that respect, your agnostic position, we want to make that clear for the audience. What does that actually mean?
So when we say we are blockchain agnostic, what we are saying is that based on specific use cases, they can actually look at what are the blockchains out there with the source code attached to that, and then download or even clone some of this source code as per their requirement.
I see.
Right. So we do not specify that if you are in supply chain, you must use Hyperledger or Ethereum. Yeah.
So in that respect also, you are ambivalent with regard to the premise, whether it be permissioned or permissionless. That is not your focus. Is that correct?
Yes. So there are certain use cases that are more suited for permissioned, and there are certain use cases that are obviously, if you go on a permissionless kind of a DLT, it's probably better. So I think we do not want to put people in boxes. So at the end of the day, we are encouraging them to try different things. But obviously, there are certain applications that are more suited for certain things. Yeah.
I see. Let's now talk. I might move across to you, Bruce, for this one. Let's talk about your special connections with certain blockchains. I noticed that NEM or NEM you have a special relationship with. Let's unpack that, and I really want to go further and explore what specific blockchains you have interest in as you build out your modularization and, more importantly, your integration.
Okay, so at the moment we are focusing on 4 different blockchains, right? You just mentioned Hyperledger, Ethereum for enterprise, NEM, and Multichain. So the first 2 blockchains actually we are focusing the Ethereum for enterprise and Hyperledger.
Okay, so Ethereum and Hyperledger for enterprise,
Hyperledger.
And they have your very distinct algorithms as well. One is permissioned, one is permissionless.
No, at the moment, at the moment we are focusing on permission-based blockchains.
Okay.
Right? But, because our key focus is still for the enterprises.
Okay.
Yeah. And we can see the high demand in Hyperledger, and also there's a big community for the Ethereum for enterprises.
Yes, through the EEA, the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance.
Yes, yes. So these are the 2 most popular enterprise blockchain technologies.
And what about the other 2? Perhaps we could move across now to Pei for the other 2. Pei, tell us a bit about the others. With multi-chain.
This is more technical, so maybe I'll pass to Dorel or Bruce to answer on it.
Okay, sorry about that. So sorry, go on, Bruce. Oh, Dorel.
Yeah. Okay. I can answer to this. Yes, there is also NEM and multi-chain in the roadmap. We are thinking to go gradually and adding the necessary capability to integrate also those blockchain into our platform. We are also looking how to use a cross-chain protocol. And for this, we foresee to integrate a protocol to make able in the future to use business application that can leverage on multiple blockchain using a cross-chain protocol.
So Dorel, in that respect, are you thinking of your own protocol or onboarding another one? Because there are many that exist now.
Yeah.
Actually, we are evaluating, looking to market if we are going to partner and get an existing cross-chain protocol to develop something internally. So, yeah.
Well, if you have one out there and you are an excellent one, don't forget about this interview, guys, because there certainly are some good ones out there right now. Just in terms of also your provision for API and CLI for integration, Bruce, can you tell us a bit about that? Because you already are set up with your API and CLI.
Yes. So once we have this blockchain platform, we have the enterprise blockchain applications built, we have all the tools ready. Then how do we expose all these blockchain application functions to others? Yeah, so API will allow us to do that.
I see.
Yeah, so in our platform, we are going to also provide that kind of functionality.
Well, thank you. Branson, obviously I don't want to leave you out of the conversation, mate. The 4 pillars, let's talk about them specifically with regard to your ready for deployment, your enterprise, your crowdsourcing, and your platform being one hub-based platform. Why are these 4 pillars so integral to your design?
Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, the platform that we are building has to be robust enough, right? So the platform itself, we have aimed it to be very easy to use. Enterprises can come immediately without any specific, they have to put in a lot of effort trying to get it started. So all these things we have actually removed. The App Store itself, we have put in a lot of effort as well, understanding why, at the end of the day, if you really want to get started on any application out there, you have to have to start off from a base. You don't want to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. So that's another factor that we have actually considered as well. Yeah.
Excellent. So obviously they are key. Let's now go across to talk about the economics of it and the finances. So Dorel, let's go with the market size. Right now you state in your website that roughly we're looking at about a 2 billion market for the current, according to the current Forbes analysis. But what are the projections like for the future, and just how big can this industry be?
Pei-Han?
Or Pei or Dorel?
Let me
any
answer
of you.
that.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the blockchain industry, as we know, despite the fact that we have started on this for a while, started off by Bitcoin in 2007 or 2008, we are still on the stage of exploratory. And having said that, I think a lot of enterprises now are waking up to the fact that blockchain can, in fact, revolutionize some of their business models. And so far, what we have seen in terms of the media reports and newspaper releases, those are mainly proof of concepts. Universities are trying to come up with blockchain courses. We see enterprises creating innovation labs and so on and so forth. So we do feel that there's plenty of white space in this area. And in fact, as what Pei-Han mentioned, without even doing a lot of marketing, we just by referrals, a lot of enterprises are coming to us, asking us how do we get started on blockchain. So I think there's a lot of room to grow, and I think we're very excited that we are in this field.
Well, let's talk some numbers, because we like to do that, and certainly the audience does. We're looking at 3.16 trillion according to your information with regard to projections for 2030. That's significant. So we're talking the trillions of dollars there, not billions. So there's a huge potential. In that respect, I just want to also broach the question of enterprise blockchain. And the reason is because often we do harp back to those iterations of Generation 1 blockchain, and we talk about 2010 being the buzz year. But the reality is that is not enterprise-focused blockchain at the time. What we're seeing right now in 2018 is really the beginnings of blockchain readiness in business. So in that respect, Branson, would you argue that there is a very big distinction between the original premise for blockchain and right now?
Yeah, spot on. I think at the end of the day, enterprises are waking up to this idea. The question then becomes, how do you get this act together? And we already seen different consortia being set up, and this is what you mentioned earlier as well, Brad, which is the EEA, Enterprise Ethereum. Obviously, Hyperledger on being led by IBM and so on and so forth. There are tons of consortia being set up. R3 is one of them. And
I'm glad you mentioned that. Can you explain a bit about the R3? Because that's a big deal.
Yeah, so R3 is a very interesting concept. I think a lot of banks have jumped on the bandwagon. JP Morgan has dropped out. They came up with their own blockchain, which is Quorum.
Yes.
I think at the end of the day, what we are seeing is that there's a concerted effort in terms of, trying to use or even leverage blockchain technology in the enterprise space, in banks, in financial sector. The question then becomes how do you get started? Because Ethereum by itself, if it's open source, if it's permissionless, there's a school of thought that this is not something that we want to use because information could be seen by different parties. Therefore, it's not that secure and so on.
And Branson, I just need to interrupt there for a moment. I think that's a fundamental thing what you've just said. Your phrase was it was a school of thought that that Ethereum being permissionless is problematic for business. And the reality is it's far beyond a school of thought. Let's be real. It is not just a school of thought. It is an actuality that it is a problem. And the conversations behind closed doors is when there is an alternative, then there'll be institutional money injected into the blockchain.
Yeah. So that's the point, right? At the end of the day, how do you then create a consortia? I think it's a fine line, right? At the end of the day, you still want to keep as much as possible the original idea of this, many parties being able to participate without specific centralized authority.
Yes.
But at the same time, how do you then restrict certain information from, you talk about data privacy and things like that. How then where do you draw the line? So I think enterprise are waking up to the idea, and this is where the exciting bit will happen. Yeah.
Absolutely. Arguably, your agnostic position is part of that resolution to the conundrum of the centralized nature of traditional markets. So, Dorel, let's talk about that in the context of Corda, the programming language behind R3. No doubt in your experience, you know much about the initiatives from banks to really bring out, to utilize the blockchain. So what's happening in that space with regard to you?
Yeah. As Branson mentioned before, there are many blockchain outside there, and Corda is, as we know, it's a fast blockchain. Can be used in a different intensive transactional applications. And what we practically doing now is, because we discuss about blockchain agnostic. We are setting our platform in such a way to tune our process to be able to onboard all those kind of blockchain like Corda, like multi-chain. But we are looking outside in the market. Why? Because also we are seeing blockchain are themselves in competition. So practically, we don't know tomorrow which blockchain will be better. We see today Ethereum, but we don't know how will be Ethereum tomorrow. So as long as we are tuning our process of onboarding blockchain, we consider our platform capable to onboard rapidly a new blockchain that will come in the future.
I see.
So that means our platform is also valuable from the point of view. Because we will be able to have our own criteria of selection. Through our process, we will onboard, means we will integrate in our platform new type of blockchain, which are the best blockchain that also from business point of view can solve the business problems.
I see.
So no matter is in a high transaction like energy sector, where you need not Ethereum, but you might need some high transaction blockchain, or in payments, or either in trade finance. So business will evolve, blockchain will evolve as well.
I see. And what's interesting about that, Dorel, just looking at the screen, I see 4 of you in 4 different sections of the screen, and that can really be a great analogy for essentially someone shopping around, and I could look at each of you as a blockchain. But what's interesting is you're right in the center of the screen. You are literally positioned where you provide for the options right there. You're really not one specific anything. You are, again, that one-stop shop. And I would argue that from someone who is considering, supporting the utility, for anyone, because to respect the SEC, you are a utility-based service. So for anyone in having that regard, no doubt the interest would be in something like you, first and foremost, because you provide and cater for the multitude of excellent blockchains.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so in that respect, let's talk now about some of your partners you haven't talked about. So I'm going to go across to you, Pei, and I'm hoping you can tell us a bit more that you don't want to tell me with regard to partners, not just now, but in the future.
Okay, so currently that as we mentioned, we are in a way we are a hub or we are a facilitator of this ecosystem.
Right.
So we have different partners coming to us. That previously we mentioned system integrator or maybe innovation center. But like Dorel has mentioned, we actually receiving a lot of the interest from blockchain area. I mean, as we know, there are a lot of the competition in blockchain, high frequency, high volume, maybe all those. So these are also some of the partners that we actually receive coming from China and coming from Asia. So that's the second type of partner. And then we also are receiving a lot of the interest to JV and go penetrating into China, Malaysia, Japan, and Korea.
Okay, so we're really looking at the Asian market first.
Yes, I think because geographically we are here and we have not done any marketing. So it by its nature, organically, it actually spreads from Singapore to layer outside.
Right, yeah. And just to clarify for the audience, you are based in Singapore, and for many different reasons, if you do go and research blockchain laws, Singapore is one of the most progressive in the world right now in terms of supporting blockchain enterprise. So, Branson, in that respect, what's being done in terms of forging ahead in the steam train, in the the very exciting and innovative and fast-moving train that you are? What companies are you talking to currently, and just how much interest are we talking about from the biggest of enterprise?
I think the biggest of enterprises, they are very, very keen. In fact, I guess I'm not at the liberty to share specific names.
Oh, you can share. That's no problem. You can share all as much as you want.
But we have been talking to a logistic company, and what they are doing is actually they are embarking on a proof of concept supply chain decentralized application where these are the big boys of the retail world. And what they want to do is to simplify the supply chain process. So we do see a lot of interest in this area, and as I said earlier, the sky's the limit because everyone wants to come on board. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we like hearing everyone wants to come on board. You heard it from Branson, not me. What about banking, Dorel? How big is the banking interest in reality from the institutional, the centralized banks?
I think the banking interest, as we have done also in our bank, our own project, it's mainly focused on trade finance because as a bank, corporate investment banking, corporate banking, and mostly they are looking to streamline those processes in the trade finance, import, export, and be ready to offer streamlined services abroad for companies that wants to import and export goods. So banks actually looking to streamline their trade finance process by looking to the blockchain capability into this sector. And payments as well, it's another big components. Banks are looking to, let's say, use the best of the blockchain technology into creating payment processors and eliminating some of, let's say, intermediaries into the cross-border payments.
I see. So essentially, sorry, I was just going to mention that you mentioned about reducing certain things, and one of them is cost. One of the fundamental reasons why companies would look into not just you but any blockchain is it reduces their overheads.
Exactly, their overheads. What happened now? It's banks generally are big corporations. They have, let's say, a complex process. And approval of budget for projects into blockchain are troublesome, especially now where the banks are focused on cost saving. A lot of pressure from compliance and regulatory bodies are coming into the banks. So when you come into develop a blockchain project and asking money to reach the goal of, let's say, payments application, to do a POC on that, and then you want to do another a project that will be high cost for a bank as well.
I see.
So from different point of view, because banks are mainly looking immediately for on-prem solutions, and they are trying to do with the internal as much as they can with internal developers, but they have to source somewhere the developers. Developers today in blockchain start from an average of 150,000 USD senior developer in blockchain.
I see.
So we may say that, it takes a long time and it's expensive. As I said before, then you have to face a complex approval process in the bank. Okay. So why not looking outside when you are creating a tender and procurement process, and looking outside in a market, you discover the platform very flexible, agile from the offering perspective, so they can easily try and see our benefit, a bundled benefit that we can offer. First, we are blockchain agnostic, so they can save the cost of training, low cost to fail, right?
Right.
And a shorter time to achieve the goal.
Thank you, Dorel, for that. I want to move now across to the question of the proprietary nature, because essentially, you're a licensed product. And in that respect, I had to look carefully at your team. You had a great team. I made sure that many of you have many years' experience. You do. So that ticks the box for experience. But one thing I did not understand is why you have so many advisors. That was quite critical. So can we talk about why you do have so many? And also, I want to talk about the team itself and with respect to this proprietary product. Who is doing the selling? Who is contacting businesses? And is that important right now?
Okay, so maybe I just briefly explain through. If you look at our advisors, most of them actually are strong in education and have a close relation in Singapore. So because we are a startup and it's an enterprise, so we know that for us to build a stronger profile, maybe a stronger relationship, we are actually need to invite all the talents to come on board to help us. I mean, that's the reason why all the advisors actually come in with their different expertise and different network.
I see.
Yeah. So
they're investors as much as they are advisors. Is that what you're saying? Or that they have a genuine interest in your company?
They have a genuine interest in the company, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So also related to answer to your who is doing the selling, I think currently it's actually Branson and we are doing the selling.
Okay. So let's talk about that, because obviously, as a one-stop shop, you still have to sell. So how are you doing the selling? Are you going directly to these company CEOs?
No, we actually more focus on our channel partnership. That means by picking all those right key person, example, the system integrator, or maybe example, some of the main distributor of content. So we are actually picking on the key person first. I think that's the way of the scalability.
I see. And Pei, from your experience so far, are you finding that many of the companies are coming to you now that have a genuine interest in utilizing your service?
Yes, actually, in fact, that most of them actually came to us because we have been too focusing on developing our platform and to get all the fundamental ready. So we have not actually put in a lot of effort in marketing.
Okay.
So more, I couldn't share with you for some reason because I think most of them are enterprise and they're actually preparing their strategic position in their area. So that's the reason why we are not able to share. But we actually have a lot of the fundamental agreements signed.
Okay. So you have signed agreements coming.
Yeah, most of them. Yes.
Okay. So, and what kind of numbers are we talking about? Not to inject hype, because that's not what I'm about. But it is important we know right now, roughly, just how the kind of numbers of signed agreements you're talking about.
You mean number of signed agreement, or maybe the value of signed agreement?
Definitely not the value. That's sort of behind closed doors right now, and we can talk about that later. But more so the number, so we get an idea and a picture of where you're positioned right now in 2018 with those partnership interests.
Okay, so like I mentioned, we have not actually proactively actually approached anybody. So we have a lot of inquiry coming in. So we are quite fussy right now for one of the reasons we actually try to handhold them to the onboarding our platform.
Okay.
So right now we actually quite picky, not only for their industry, but also what they can actually bring in to us.
Okay.
So right now the number that we have signed started from, I think, about a month plus ago until right now. We have actually signed about three major ones. And I think we are signing another two these few days.
Okay, so we're talking about 5 major ones. I like that word major in being injected into the conversation. We appreciate that. And also, what's interesting is no doubt you've got a very thick door on the Morpheus Labs, laboratory, because people are knocking very loud to try and get in, if they're an enterprise. So that's good to know. Let's talk about now the tokenomics. So perhaps we could talk that with you, Branson. You seem like a numbers man, and you certainly know the financials. Exactly what happened with the token event? Where are we positioned right now in the process of the ICO?
Yeah, so I think what I can share is that we have started about a month or so back. I think what we aim to do at the end of the day is to give enough runway for ourselves to actually build out this enterprise platform. We don't want to over-raise. Which is why recently we decided that based on whatever we raised, actually we have enough runway, right? So we have actually right now a new cap at 12,000. So once that is closed out, I think we can announce that we can immediately start focusing on the real stuff, which is to build out the platform.
Can we just backtrack a moment? So you mentioned a month ago, let's get specific, with 11th of February, that's when you started. You had a 35% bonus at that time. You were at the private sale process, and you moved across into a different round of 20% on the 24th and so on. So I wanted to only broach them, not to sort of, talk so much the numbers, but more talk about what tends to happen in the space. And that is that we often have seen certain whales or pool groups injecting a huge amount of funds, injecting them so much so that when points of sale happen, like what the crowd sale, that's obviously going to happen at some stage, we see a sudden spike and a drop. What have you done specifically to try and prevent these things and these monopolistic sort of positions that you see some of these pools doing?
I think that's a very important question. At the end of the day, what we want to do is to gain enough community support. As you mentioned, I think most of the ICOs actually experience this, right? So you have whales coming in, putting large amounts, trying to monopolize the price. So what we're trying to do is to reach out to more people. And we have done events to reach out to our supporters, people who actually believe in our idea and vision, not just coming in, take advantage of the token, and then dump it. When
the pump and dump. We're
exactly.
really quite sick of it. We really are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we want real people, real investors who are interested in what we're doing, and we have been very fortunate that if you have seen our Telegram chat, most of them take interest in where we are, asking us, when this platform will be out, what we're going to do, how can they, try this platform and things like that. So I think that's important for us.
Okay, so let's talk about now, Pei. We'll go to you and we'll keep on this topic. What's the date, the very next date in terms of the tokenomic, release, the token release? What can people expect?
Okay, so we are currently at our final stage, which actually public or crowd sale. So currently we are actually thinking tentative date of actually closing our event is actually 15th of April. But
15th of April, is it?
Yeah, 15th of April, yes. But because right now we are actually talking to a lot of exchanges, so we want to have actually push up to get this on we try to get this on the best time that we can actually.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. So just sometimes you hear these exciting terms like you're talking to a lot of exchanges. I don't usually hear that from a CEO. I usually hear we're talking to one or two. So you're talking to a lot.
Quite a few. Yeah. So to put it as a good term, it's quite a few of exchanges we're actually talking to. We have not decided which one to work with because for the fact that we want to choose a good region and want to choose a good liquidity, and we need to choose a reputable one.
Right.
Yeah. So we are still shortlisting a few, but the interest from the exchanges is quite high, because I think for the fact that I think to add on for what Branson just now mentioned, they are actually, most of people do ICO because they want to get into blockchain. They want to get into business. They want to get into blockchain. But for our team, we are different. We are already in the blockchain. We are already generating business. That we actually get into ICO to actually get more fun to grow our current stage. So that is the unique part and USP that we have. And also when we talk to exchanges, that is also what they see. Okay, this is an interesting idea.
And Pei, on that note, can we talk about specifics of revenue generation pre-Morpheus Labs as a blockchain project? So you mentioned you were pre-existing. Can we talk about that in the context of the kind of revenue you already were making?
Okay, so even before we actually moving into ICO, for Branson and I was a small team, we actually started to have a lot of projects coming in. So that's a point that we actually get a lot of validation, like the pain point, why is it so hard to find tech talent? What is it so? What should we do? So from there, we actually grow a lot of project-based revenue from there. Okay. And we understand that project-based is actually not scalable. So that's the reason why we four of us come together to actually come up with this platform. Right. And with endorsement from Dorel and Bruce of their tech background, we build a better solution right now. Okay, so let's be clear. Branson, can you answer this for me? The major premise for your ICO is actually to generate enough money to really build out the beginnings of your team, to really give you a mainstay position in the market. Is that why you're doing it?
Yes, I think what we realize is that to really stay ahead of the competition, and also to make sure that the enterprise product is really robust, we need sufficient runway and sufficient resources, and that's where the token event comes in. At the end of the day, obviously, with the help of Dorel, who is very, very experienced in the enterprise space, as well as Bruce, who has actually led the first in production blockchain application. I think that's where we stand out. Yeah. And just in terms of lockup, it's always good to hear that the team can't access the tokens straight away. So what's the vesting period? So for the team, we have actually a 6-month lock-in, and thereafter, it's still a progressive, gradual disbursement. Yeah. That's great. All right, well, let's talk about your roadmap now. So Bruce, you've been very quiet down there, and my apologies for not talking to you enough. So your roadmap, can you tell us some really exciting things about your roadmap coming up this year?
Yes. In third quarter, we are going to release our first commercial enterprise product into the market. As Pei-Han, Branson mentioned, we have already so many customers are interested. They are waiting to onboard as soon as possible. So from technical team, we are working very hard to satisfy all our customers' need. And do you feel like you're on track, Bruce, with everything that was planned already? Yes, we are on track. Even we have some challenges to deliver the product with high quality and on schedule. But I think we are still on track. Yeah. Okay. What about you, Dorel? What's your position with regard to the roadmap? What's one thing that excites you coming up?
I'm personally every day following to make sure the quality of development and the quality of infrastructure architecture is what we have in mind to offer a scalable and modular architecture. And to reach the commercial version, we have to pass through several stages. One is to, let's say, be able to cover more than one region. So because we might have a customer outside of Singapore. So other things is to be able to offer them reliable connectivity with our platform. And second is for what we mentioned before, it's third, it was what we mentioned before, it's the App Store. So the App Store is one of the components of this year. So we want to come out with the App Store more or less the same time, Q3, possibly to have a list of applications inside of it and to show to the customer that we keep our word, and they can see in our app store some business applications that they can use in very, very short way using our internal process in the platform to deploy them. So to do that, we are thinking, we think to add on board more developers. Yeah. And we look to blockchain developers as well, not only to help us to develop our platform, but we want to retain internally in our company the knowledge, because it's important. We are going to run long term, so it's important for us that new colleagues will maintain internally the knowledge they acquired about the platform and about the business we are going to do.
Yes, thank you, Dorel, for that. I appreciate your perspective on Q3. If we could talk now about some of the criticisms and some of the issues, and I want to just really cut to the chase with this. And this is with regard to your code base, with regard to your closed sort of proprietary nature. Is this the case, or am I misinformed that you intend not to disclose your fundamentals because you are a proprietary product?
Actually, we are going to disclose gradually a lot of things regarding facilitating the end user to access our platform. Our API will be public. Anybody can use and develop using our API and connect to our platform.
Okay.
We are going to disclose, we already started our technology stack receipts, means our composition of technology stack, all the dashboards and integrations of external tools. Developers need external tools to connect to our platform. They have the option to use their local tools, or they have the option to connect and use in cloud tools that we offer.
Right.
So we disclose things. There are some core features which practically are
private.
Put together all those things and configurations and tools that we mentioned, like DevOps tooling and our capability to deploy fast and all the platform itself as architecture. We are going to keep for internal as a distinctive capability, and not giving unfair, say, opportunity to competitors to
access.
Yeah, to access, because we want to maintain a competitive advantage at least 1 year
Absolutely.
ahead.
Let's talk about that. I'm so glad you mentioned the word competitors, because that was my very next question. And any of you could answer this one. We're seeing the emergence right now of some very serious entrants into the blockchain space, and even the non-blockchain DLT space, of highly scalable blockchains for enterprise. I don't need to name names. I'm sure you'd know of them. What's your position? Are you concerned of these, or do you feel that there's enough space, given that it's such a magnanimous industry in itself? But I'm talking specifically about competitors in the enterprise blockchain arena right now. Are you concerned, or are you aware of any coming that are highly scalable, up to 1 million TPS right now?
So I'll take this. I think at the end of the day, like I said, there are multiple blockchains out there. In fact, there are hundreds of blockchains out there.
Yes, but there's only a few that are outstanding in the enterprise space right now.
Yeah. So again, I think we have to come back to the what we're doing. Our core fundamental business model is not to compete with any blockchains, right? At the end of the day, if they are a viable option for some of the enterprises out there, we don't mind working with these guys, right? At the end of the day, we are blockchain agnostic. So the better they perform, we can put them in as one of the options.
What Branson, we want to sorry to interrupt, but what if they are agnostic also?
Yeah, so that's something that we are also considering. I think some of our supporters are also aware of this, and we have been on top of some of these so-called competitors out there. We are aware of that, and I think again, for us, our team is one of the core competitive advantage, because our mixture is that, again, Dorel has been in the enterprise space for 17 years, and Bruce himself has implemented one of the first in production. Many enterprises out there, they are able to do very good technologies, but at the end of the day, can you then pull it off by implementing it in the production environment in the enterprise space?
Right, great question. And I think that's the imperative. And what's interesting is that, again, we'll harp back to that one-stop shop, the mechanics shop for you for a moment, and recognize not only is it important to be an A-grade quality car and to drive the position well from the one-stop shop, but also it's very important that you essentially lead the way with an excellent team. You're doing that, no doubt. But more importantly, when in the race, if you have an excellent car, you're in pole position right now because you're one of the first to enter the market.
Yep.
So that's interesting. If we could just, each of you would like to just do a final comment about anything at all you wanted to address. We might start with Bruce and we'll move across to Pei in that order. Bruce, is there anything you'd like to add to finish off the interview?
Yeah, I think I like our platform a lot. That's a reason I'm quitting my job and joined this company. I really want to build the best product for our customers.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Bruce. I really appreciate it. What about you, Branson? What would you like to let the listeners know, the viewers?
Yeah, thanks. I think what we are doing here is something very special. I think at the end of the day, we are very excited about what we are doing. I think there's a lot of white space out there. Enterprises that want to try or leverage the blockchain technology has more options than ever. But what we are doing is to help them get there faster at a cheaper cost. Yeah.
I see. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you,
I know you're busy. And Dorel, what about you, mate? With all your experience, what was something we've missed perhaps you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I'm also very, very proud of working on this project. After many years in a large enterprise, I can say I can finally give my best knowledge I have on something that will be distinctive in the market. And I really happy to see we can give the answer to the business. What if this blockchain will or not be suitable for me? They can come like horrible for us and test, and that's the idea I like. They can, as you mentioned, one shot stop. They can try with us, and very, very, very nice way to prototype and rapidly go to the business. That's amazing, exciting.
It's great to hear your passion also. I think you have to have that in this space, particularly in the beginnings of it. And what about you, Pei? As the unofficial CEO, let's finish off with you, mate. Give us a cracker.
Okay, so I just wrap up for my team. I think many people can have the same idea, same mission, same vision, but ultimately it's actually the execution who can execute and implement better. I love my team because, I have been in a tech startup since 2011. I've seen and advised a lot of the team. So I believe and I know I have one of the strongest teams. For one of the reasons that I can actually sleep well at night. While I know that my other partners, they will cover me or maybe help me to cover all the weakness that I have.
Sure.
So for one of the evidence that for ICO, unlike other ICO, we didn't have a lot of the strong backer. You can actually look at it, but we're actually doing quite well for our ICO. I think we are one of the rare that actually can do it.
Touch wood.
Touch wood. Yeah, it's actually quite not bad. It's because our execution power, and indeed a lot of people actually heard of us, start to hear of us and approach us to help them out to advise. So this is actually the proof of our execution and dimension. Idea is great. but everybody can have the idea. But it is the team implementation or team execution actually make the difference. So we have the one great team, and we are actually we love each other. So
that's a good thing that you get along. And Pei, you know, in that respect, to all four of you, and also to all of your team, I wish you all the very best as you begin, 2018 and move into the enterprise space. What's exciting about you that I've learned today is you're agnostic. You are also well positioned right now, given that it is the forefront of this kind of exciting enterprise industry meeting and coupling with the blockchain. You have an outstanding and evidence-backed research and representation with your team. And what's really exciting is that you have partners onboarding right now, and there's an on-ramp via your very exciting universal protocol. So if you're not sure what they are a protocol that's trying to tap into the enterprise space in blockchain, and watch them because they're certainly making waves in Asia, and no doubt that will move into the global space as we see in the future. So on behalf of all the listeners of the world who want to know more about blockchain excellence, thank you to the four of you, the CIO, the CTO, the CEO, and the COO. Thank you very, very much for your time. Bruce, thank you, Branson, thank you very much, Dorel, and thank you, Pei. It's been very enlightening, and I hope to talk to you in the future as you evolve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.